Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss a topic, the living world. It is a class 11th course chapter. This is the first chapter we are going to discuss. But before this, let me introduce you with the subject of biology. Now, you have taken this subject. Now, there must be certain reasons behind it. I know you are interested in living organism as such. So, biology is basically a subject of which is concerned with living organism. Now, there are so many unanswered questions. When you were in class 8, 9, 10th, you must have heard about so many things related to biology. For example, at that time you must have studied about photosynthesis, respiration. Now you must have heard about the term ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Now you may be wondering at that time what are these things. You may not be able to, you must have not be able to understand it completely at that time. Now what is the reason behind it? The only reason is that things were not broad. Now in class 11th and 12th, those unanswered questions will be answered. So that is the difference between 11th and 12th and basically junior classes. So let us start with a very interesting topic and a very common topic which teachers have been teaching you in the previous classes, that is the difference between living and non-living things. You must have heard of this particular topic since the very beginning of class 6th or even 5th, and still you wonder why I am going to discuss this topic. This is actually a very basic topic, but in this particular lecture there will be certainly certain things which will be different from what you were taught in junior classes. So let us now start this topic, which is a very easy topic, the difference between living and non-living things. Now, first of all, what are the basic characteristics of a living organism? You must have heard that the first important characteristic of any basic living organism, is that they grow. Now, what is growth actually? Let me give you an example. Suppose the cell is increasing in number, that is, the cell is dividing to form new cells. Then again, the second thing, cell elongates and its size increases. Now, suppose if I ask you, among the two, which one is growth? The increase in number of the cells or increase in size of the cell? What is your answer? Think over it. The answer is that both of the things are correct. Both are actually growth. Whether you call increase in number, it is also a growth. Then increase in mass, or you can say the size of the cell, the cytoplasmic content of the cell, that is also called as growth. So can we define growth as one of the characteristic feature of life? Even non-living organisms sometimes grow. For example, in case of sand dunes, in case of boulders, there can be increase in mass. So can you say this sand and boulders are also living organisms? Absolutely no. Then what can be the reason behind it? Then what is the defining property of the growth? Actually, in case of non-living organisms such as soil, sand, accumulation takes place. That is called as external growth. Growth is caused externally. But in case of living organism, the growth is internal. So that is the basic difference between the two. But still, growth cannot be defined as a characteristic feature of living organism. So now what the question arises, What is the characteristic feature of living organism then? Now let us talk about another characteristic, reproduction. Now organisms reproduce to form similar organism, to produce similar organism which are very similar to them, and this process is called as reproduction. As you know, reproduction can be of two types, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Even in certain organism, similar, very similar, or you can say identical progenies are produced. Now these progenies, what are progenies? You must have heard this term in class 10th also. Progenies are offsprings, children, the next generation, that is called as progeny. So in case of asexual reproduction, these progenies are identical to the previous generation, very identical to the previous generation. This is also a reproduction. Sexual reproduction, as you know, involves production of two different kind of gametes from two different parents, and fusion or fertilization of these gametes takes place, ultimately producing a progeny. Now, in certain organisms such as mules, you must have heard about mules in your previous classes. What are mules? Think over it. See, sometimes there can be reproduction between two different species. For example, horse and donkey, they together can produce, belonging to two different species, they together, their gametes can fuse together and can form a very different kind of organism which is called as mule. But mules cannot reproduce among themselves. They are sterile. Therefore, even reproduction cannot be a definitive property of living organism. Though mules are living organisms, but they cannot reproduce. If suppose अगर आप ये मान लें कि लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म जो है वो म्यूल है और वो रिप्रोड्यूस नहीं कर सकता, तो इसका मतलब ये भी है कि रिप्रोडक्शन जो है एक डेफिनेटिव प्रॉपर्टी नहीं होती लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म की. I hope you have understood this. Now, then again a question arises, still we have not come up with a proper answer. Again a question arises, then what is the definitive property of living organism? Now let us start having a different view. You must have heard about metabolism. I hope so. What is metabolism? See, in living organism, certain substances are formed, and during this process energy is required. Then certain complex substances are converted into simple substances. During this process energy is liberated. Hence metabolism can be of two types: anabolism, in which two or more simple substances combine to form a complex substance. This is called as anabolism. For example, in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water, they combine together to produce what? Carbohydrates. With the help of sunlight and chlorophyll. Now this is what? This is an anabolic reaction in which simple substances have combined together to form a complex substance. Now what can be a catabolic reaction? You must have heard about glycolysis in class 10th, where glucose consisting of 6 carbon atom is converted into 3 carbon atom substance, which is called as pyruvate. That is, complex substances being converted into simple substances. Now, in this case, what happens is energy is released, and this is an example of catabolism. In living organism, both anabolic reactions as well as catabolic reactions both occur together spontaneously. And since we require both of these together, therefore both are important. Now, for example, protein synthesis is necessary in our body, carbohydrate synthesis is necessary, lipid synthesis is necessary. These are all examples of anabolism. Now, the food which we take from outside has to be converted into carbon dioxide, water and energy for the providing energy requirement to our cells. This is an example of catabolism. Therefore, I have said that both of these two reactions are important. Both anabolism and catabolism are a part of metabolism, and that is the reason why I have said metabolism can be a definitive property of living organism. Now, but there are certain questions which we'll be talking about. Suppose metabolic reactions is going on in vitro conditions. Can you say it to be a living thing? Of course not. Metabolic reactions which are taking place in vitro, that is outside the body, cannot be said to be a living organism, but definitely it is a living reaction. So, we have concluded that metabolism can be said to be a characteristic property of living organism when it is taking place inside the living organism. Okay. Now, let us talk about things which you are at present going through. Virus, coronavirus, what is it? Is it a living organism or it is a non-living organism? Think over it. When it is outside the cell, it acts as a non-living organism because no metabolism is taking place when it is outside the cell. But when it enters inside the human body or any living organism, the metabolism starts to take place, and therefore still we are not able to categorize it, or we are not able to say whether virus is living organism or non-living organism. Of course, it shows all the property of living organism when it is inside the cells, but when it is outside, it shows the property of non-living organisms. Now, let us talk about certain other things. For example, you must have heard about cell theory. All the organisms present in this world, there are so many different kinds of species consisting of so many kinds of organisms. They all are made up of cells. So, cell is definitely a characteristic structural feature, that is, a cell is definitely a characteristic property of living organism. But viruses are not made up of cells. They are exceptional. They are called to be exceptional. That is an exception. Okay. Now, let us talk about certain other things. For example, if you place amoeba in a water which is very hot, naturally the amoeba will move from that particular place, hot water, to much colder place. What is it? How the amoeba is able to recognize the outer environment and start reacting to it. This is called as consciousness, which is a basic property of living organism. Now, Human beings have another property. They have self-consciousness. So naturally there is a difference between consciousness and self-consciousness. Self-consciousness is a property of higher living organisms such as human beings. But all living organisms have consciousness and they react to their external stimuli. So definitely consciousness is a defining property of living organism. I hope today you have liked my discussion. We will be carrying out this discussion in the next lecture. Thank you very much and have a nice day.